In today's video, I'm going to share with you a protective cleansing altar wash and ritual. So do grab yourself a nice warm drink, settle back and enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're all well and safe. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and ideas for cleansing your altar space, your sacred space, and specifically a ritual cleanse of my altar space that I performed at the new year when we came into 2022. And this is something that I perform quite regularly every few months or so with the turn of the wheel, and it's not something I set specific dates for. It's something that I kind of feel into. I know when my space is feeling stagnant. I know as and when I need to be doing these cleanses. This video I wanted to be a little bit more specific because I wanted to share the wash that I created as well as some footage from the actual ritual that I did, and then sort of explain a little bit more around it because it's quite specific. I think it's a nice practice to share, and it actually gives some specific steps to perform the ritual and cleanse your space so it's protected and then it feels sacred for you, and you know, a little blessing as well at the end of it. Reasons magically why someone might want to cleanse their space is because you want to work magic that is effective and that is aligned to you, and if there's lots of clutter, lots of mess, lots of dirt, lots of stagnant energy or energy that is not so pleasant hanging around, that is going to be confusing, it's going to sort of muddy the water, it's not conducive for effective spell work and ritual and coming into alignment, grounding, centering and staying in alignment, being attuned with oneself. I think for all of these reasons, I often think that cleansing and spiritual hygiene, it really does feed into and tie into protection magic, and that's one of the reasons as well that I want to create several videos around this topic that can all then come together, and you know, they can be watched together and understood together because they are holistic and it all comes together. It's all really, really important, but they're all really, really broad topics as well, and whilst they overlap, there are specifics around each topic, and it's really, really nice to be able to sort of focus in. For the altar space specifically and weekly, I do like to tidy up my space because my space can get untidy. So at the moment I have an altar space in this room, and that is kind of my general altar. I have some representations of the Morrigan and Crow energy there, and it tends to be where I do my devotionals, and I have some other important items for myself that are on that altar space. I have another altar space on the other side of the room that's more for tarot, and I don't tend to think of that so much as sacred, it's more decorative. It has some of my oils and incenses and my tarot decks, and I tend to do tarot readings there. It tends to be more of a sort of functional space because I do my makeup there as well sometimes, so it can be sort of more of a daily place where things get put. I try not to just put things on this altar because it's more sacred, but the altar over there sometimes does have items on it, books, etc. that have come in, things that I'm moving around. If I'm moving around my journals, like moving things downstairs, or it might have different tarot decks on it, different readings, it might have some makeup on it, so I tend to put my makeup away after I've used it, but it can be where I do glamour magic and such. So that one is really, really important that I keep it clean, and I tend to tidy it up every day really, and put things away every day, but I will give it a bit of a clean down once a week, and that tends to be either with just a general polish or a clean cloth or just some water, depending on the amount of mess. But that one tends to not get so much mess because I only have like one candle up there. I don't tend to do incense on there. The incense is really on this altar, and in this altar space I do have incense, and I have my oil burner, and I have candles, and I have other items as well, so things do get messier in a kind of incensey way, so I do like to wipe it clean each week. And again, as I said, I will either just give it a dry wipe and move things around, make it neat and tidy again, or I will use just water on a sort of weekly basis, but not so the cloth is sodden, just only damp slightly. So that just gives it a sort of refresh, and it means that also then on the daily, when I'm doing a sort of smoke cleanse or I'm passing the selenite over something, you know, that it just keeps that going, and then the weekly wipe down is kind of more of a surface level, but it just sort of gets rid of anything that's kind of lingering. And then, as I said, every few months or so, around the sabbats, or really for me, it's when I feel I need to. But you could do it every month, you could do it every couple of months, whatever you feel is right for you, or around every sabbat when you redo your altar, if you have an altar space that you redo. Currently in another room I have an altar space. I kind of just feel into what I need to do with my altar spaces, and you can do the same as well. I think what's important is that you're tapping into the energy and you understand when you need to be cleansing, because if you're like, well, what's the point? Like, everything feels good here. I don't think that you should be told you need to be cleansing your altar space every week if you don't feel you need to. And the altar space that's in the other room, I have done a couple of workings on it. The last week I've not, so I am not giving it a wipe down this week because I've not done anything there, and I may do if I felt like I needed to, or if I was going to do a working there, I may do. But again, as I said, I'm feeling into it and feeling into what is needed. This altar space here is definitely the one that needs the most in terms of attention, in terms of cleansing. So really just feel into what is right for you and your space and what is needed for you in terms of cleansing. And you know, if anything specific happens that, you know, doesn't feel good to you and you want to cleanse your space, then do it. Feel into what you need to do and cleanse as you need to. So the reason I decided to make this video was because I made a reel for Instagram at the new year when I decided to do this ritual cleansing. This is something that I do a lot, but I tend to switch up my recipe, so it's not always the same, because as with everything else I've said, I feel into what I need at the moment and also what I have. So I decided to create a wash to wipe down my altar space. My altar space is an antique wood, but I have washed it before and I know it's fine. The only thing it doesn't like are those really, really strong chemical products that, you know, strip away mold and things like that. It doesn't like anything like that. But in terms of like lemon, apple cider vinegar, water, even diluted alcohol, it is fine and it responds fine. But if you have a really, really beautiful antique piece that is a different type of wood, I think mine is mahogany, you might not want to do that. You look into what is right for your item and don't just trust that because I'm using it on the wood that I have that it's going to be all right for you. So if you are concerned about that, then look into that. Also, as I said, if you have altar cloths, you may wish to switch them out, launder them, hand wash them, however you want to do that. So for the protective and cleansing wash that I made for the altar, I included water as a base, then the juice of a whole lemon. I had some garden sage in the kitchen, so I used that, and I used some apple cider vinegar as well. Although you've got the lemon there, I like the apple cider vinegar as well for that cleansing aspect. The garden sage, of course, is really protective. Garden sage has very similar properties to white sage, so a lot of people understand it to be very intense for cleansing in terms of that it sort of strips away a lot of what is there. And that is kind of what I wanted, because I wanted to start on a clean slate and also put in blessings of my own. I also included some rum in this, and really I felt into that again. It felt right because we just had Christmas and it was a beautiful alcoholic beverage to add, because rum for me is just a really, really tasty thing that I enjoy, but also it's got this beautiful sweetness. There's lots of sugar in it. It just felt like the right thing to add, and the alcohol as well, again, that is a very cleansing, purifying item to add, but there was something very rich and depthy and resonant for me about adding the rum at that point, so that's what I did. And it sort of added a bit of spice and sweetness, which was nice, and it gave the wash a sort of sweeter scent, because obviously with apple cider vinegar it can be quite strong vinegary scent, and the rum I felt balanced that out a bit. It was really nice. And then I decided to add star anise as well, because the beautiful star shape reminds me of Christmas and hope and new life ahead. This was a protective element. I also feel like it's really empowering and very, very strong, and it's such a powerful shape. Obviously the star is perfect for Christmas time and that hope for the new. It reminds me of the star card, of course, in tarot, which is one of my favorites. I mean, who doesn't love the star card? And of course it's the shape of the pentacle as well. So you have earth, air, fire, water and spirit. And for me, the pentacle is such an important symbol. I have several pentacles. I have a pentacle on my altar. I have another little pentacle that I keep that's an old pentacle of mine. I have a pentacle necklace, and I just love the shape. I always have since I first came to witchcraft when I was 11. I was fascinated with pentacles and the pentagram. I know some people are frightened or don't understand what the shape is, but the shape was meant to signify the human body. It was also meant to signify the elements, earth, air, fire, water and spirit, and the coming together of that, and how the human body is sort of the embodiment of spirit on earth and along with the elements. And it's such a beautiful symbol. It's so empowering and magical, and so I love it. So for me, that was really a beautiful way to kind of cleanse my space, but also imbue back in that magic, that intention for a magical year ahead. And the spice as well of star anise, you know, it's quite aniseedy, it's anise, so you have that sort of like bitter sweetness and that deep dark sweetness, but that spice as well, that warmth and that fire. And I talked a little bit about this in my ENQUIRIES video, how, you know, I wanted to bring the fire and the passion and the motivation, the creativity, but not just creativity and ideas, but like the bringing it into reality. And I felt like the star anise was just perfect for that. So I included that. But as I mentioned in the reel, and I'm gonna go into now, these ingredients are just what I added then and there because that's what I had to hand and it's what I felt into. And I think I can't emphasize this enough, that you can read lots of correspondence books and everyone always brings up the Scott Cunningham book. That's got some magical correspondences in it, but if you want to get to know herbs and work with herbs, I would really recommend getting some books on herbalism, getting some older tomes, Culpeper's Herbal, the Herb book by John Lust, and any other herbal remedy books that you can get your hands on, and herbalism books as well. Like, I would really, really recommend. And I would like to do a video on reading magic and witchcraft and herbal books as well, because it's a passion of mine. It's something that I'm so interested in, and you know, I really, really do believe that you don't have to be an expert in all the herbs, but if you start to get to know some plant spirits and really create a relationship with those spirits and connect to the plant itself, you can actually really create a fantastic magical path for yourself using herbs and plants in your magic. So herbalism is obviously another thing. You don't have to be a herbalist to be a green witch, of course. I'm very interested in taking a herbalism course at some point. That's something that I'm doing, and obviously growing my own plants and such, and trying to learn slowly about different plants. And my parents have always been gardeners, so I grew up with that. I've always liked to grow things that I can eat. So whether that was vegetables or herbs, things that I could eat. Now I'm much more interested in growing things like mugwort that I enjoy smoking and that I enjoy working with magically. But for the purposes of this, I want to just bring up some other herbs that you can use in place of anything that I use, instead of or with, because there are many things that you might want to bring in. So obviously there's that protective layer, so you might want a protective herb as well as a herb that is going to bring in some peace. So you might wish to use rosemary as well as like some lavender, or if you really wanted to manifest some big dreams of yours, you could use bay. For bringing in prosperity, you could use mint, because that is really, really purifying and cleansing, as well as bringing in that beautiful prosperity and that abundance. So there's just some ideas there, but I have a list that I've compiled, but depending upon your intentions and the needs of yourself in the moment, what you feel into, what you feel you need to call in, and what you feel you need to protect yourself from, you could use any of the following, but also not limited to. This is not an exhaustible list. These herbs to create a protective and cleansing altar space wash: rosemary, black pepper, cloves, rue, hyssop, salt, pine, cedar, cypress, juniper, clary sage, garden sage, cinnamon, bay, black mustard seeds, yarrow, Solomon seal, agrimony, wormwood, mugwort, basil, ash, coriander seeds, caraway seeds, elder, ginger, lavender, frankincense, myrrh, dragon's blood, blackberry, lemongrass, mullein, mistletoe, nettle, vervain, blessed thistle, mint, juniper, marigold, rose, St. John's wort, thyme, tobacco, willow, witch hazel, rowan, oak and vervain. Also, you could use essential oils of any of these, as well as lemon or orange, cinnamon, all of those beautiful spices that I have mentioned as well. So you can see there are so many different herbs that you can use. If you are planning to create a wash that you will bottle, I would recommend that they are dried. And if you're going to create a wash in a bowl or a cup that you're going to just use up in that moment, as I did, then I think you can use fresh as well as dried, whatever you have. In terms of adding essential oils, I didn't add any essential oils to this, As I said, I had a base of water, I had juice of lemon. I didn't include any peel, but I could have. I don't think I could find my peeler at the time, actually. Then the garden sage, that was fresh, I believe, apple cider vinegar, and the rum, as I talked about, and of course the anise that was dried. So a mixture of different things, and I said I felt into it in the moment, so you know, you can really just feel into what you need. You can use different books as well to support you. I'm sure you have a witchy book on your shelf, or you could look online to have a look for some herbs that correspond, or if you want to use a specific herb but you don't have it, you can look at what you might be able to use instead that's similar. But there are so many different herbs that can be utilized. I mean, even for instance, rose is always associated with love and friendship and sensuality and self-love, and of course it has all of those properties, but it does have that really strong protective quality as well. And of course there's the thorns on the rose, you know, and it is a really protective botanical to use. Whether you're using rose petals or whether you're using an essential oil, it has got that protective quality as well that also brings in that self-love. So if that's something you want to bring in, maybe rose is the right thing. Something like blackberry is perfect for boundary setting, as well as that protective element. So you know, there are different ways that you can look at each of these herbs, and whatever it is that you have that you need to call in, you can do that. So in terms of the ritual, I took my altar space apart and I used a cloth and the wash and cleansed the wood down a couple of times. I let it dry in the air, and then I reassembled my space. I lit a candle and said a little blessing and a prayer, and it was a really, really beautiful ritual. It was very simple but very, very beautiful, very, very effective, and I felt like the space felt so light and fresh and bright afterwards. I just felt so happy standing there at my altar space, that it was a lovely, lovely feeling. And then in the room as well, I love sitting here in this space, and I tend to do quite a lot of Reiki in here as well, so that energy is always moving through, and I felt it. It was really, really beautiful. So I cannot recommend this enough. This has been quite a specific video, but also I feel like I've touched on some other things as well. So if you've got any questions or anything that you'd like me to explain a little bit more, or anything you'd like me to expand upon in another video, please do let me know. I love making videos about witchcraft, magic and spirituality, as well as tarot and divination. So of course, if you have any questions or you'd like me to cover any topics, please do let me know. I would be happy to. Also, if you have any suggestions for cleansing your altar space or yourself, or cleansing in general, or protection or cleansing herbs or correspondences, then please do leave them below in the description box, because I think it's really, really nice for everyone to share their ideas and their practices. We can all get ideas from each other, which is absolutely lovely. I really hope this video has been helpful for you, and I hope that you enjoy this practice. If you do it, if you've never really cleansed the space before, I'd love to hear how you get on, or if you do this a lot, I'd love to hear how often you cleanse your space and yourself and your altar. If you did enjoy the video, please do click the like button and share it with any witchy friends who would also enjoy.
I would like to share with you, I do have a Patreon page. At the moment, I'm offering one tier to support me to continue to make free content here, where I'm sharing educational information as well as personal witchy vlogs, etc. What I'm doing in my own practice, I share a lot of spells and rituals and recipes of my own, and to do that, I'm so, so grateful to receive any support at all to help me to continue to do that. So over there, you can see there's one tier, and I plan to expand and to add further tiers. I plan to offer some tarot and oracle readings. I also plan to offer exclusive spells, rituals and recipes over on that platform as well, and to share some exclusive videos with recommendations and more practices, etc. It's going to be a really, really nurturing, nourishing space where we can have a safe community, and if you do want to go and support me there, it would mean absolutely the world to me.
I have an Instagram page and a TikTok, so I will link them on the screen as well as down below, so that you can go over and check out what I am getting up to. I also have a buy me a coffee page. If you've been watching my content and you're not yet subscribed, please do think about subscribing, because that really, really helps to support the channel. So do hit that subscribe button, and also while you're subscribing, don't forget to click that little bell notification, because that's how YouTube is going to let you know when I create and upload videos just like this. So with all that said, thank you again so much for joining me. I hope you stay well and safe. Stay hydrated, stay healthy, and look after yourselves. Put yourself first, because I think a lot of us don't. Just want to say that. Be authentically you and allow your magic to shine. So many, many blessings. Bye. Mwah.